about publishing. This is common among graduate students because everyone thinks that if they can't make it as a graduate student, they could certainly make it as an editor. But really what they're looking for is a way out. I remember this feeling well. I was once in graduate school. I realized I didn't want a job in the middle of nowhere. I didn't want to teach the Odyssey every semester to a bunch of undergrads. But what could I do with the skills that I had? I needed a new plan. My first job after graduate school was working as a part-time research assistant at the GRI. I got the job not because I knew what an N-dash was, but because I knew Greek and Latin. I was very proud of this fact, having invested a decade. I was also friends with two of the research assistants who had worked for GRI publications. I was really lucky to get this job because I didn't live in Los Angeles, and it was part-time. Why would they hire me? And when I say I was lucky, I didn't know the Chicago Manual of Style, which will resonate with two people in the room, maybe more. So I didn't know anything about what they would need me to do. And when I say I was friends with their research assistants, I was friends with one of their research assistants, the other research assistant. I had spent 3 hours with him in a bar once. We were not together. My first few months on the job, I felt really out of my element. There were so many rules, and the rules I learned in grade school about grammar and possessives, and it just wasn't the same, and I had no idea that these things evolved over time. That was a little rough, but I had one main advantage. I worked for a senior editor who was brilliant and really kind with her feedback. She taught me well. I internalized the rules, and I quickly gained a reputation for being fast but thorough, which in our department you have to be so fast. You can't survive if you're slow. When their permanent research assistant retired, they offered me a job as an assistant editor, which I happily took, because by that time I realized that I enjoyed working on books. From there, many promotions ensued, people retired, and I am where I am today, which is managing editor of the department. But the hardest thing about giving advice to graduate students is that I never tried to break into publishing in the first place. I moved here and I needed a job. This was a job that used skills that I had. And so as a result, my advice always feels empty, a little facile. I tell them to go work for a publisher. You want to work in publishing? Well, go find a job working in publishing. Find out if you like it. The funny thing about publishing is that there's a world of publishing that you don't realize is there. You may think that you would be a good editor, because in your head you think you're a good writer and you probably aren't. You think that you could do something else, and you may well be able to do something else. There's a lot of creativity that comes with sales and marketing. There's the wheeling and dealing of making deals for rights, co-publications. That's a very international sort of job where you fly to many places. There's the visual and tactile aspect of design and production. And then there's the intellectual and social aspect of developing books. That's what I mostly do now, is work with people to come up with the ideas for the books, to shape the books before they ever go to an editor. So. Or you may have the chops to be a manuscript editor, but I can tell you from experience, we try to find these type of people, and it's really hard to find that person. I mean, I found Ashley, but as often as not, our graduate intern is so-so. And maybe they would be great at marketing. So we put them in another direction. The other advice I give people is to choose wisely. Textbook publishing is not trade publishing. That's something that a lot issues have careers in textbooks as well as museum publishing. University presses are also their own different universe. They have their own processes, and if you, God forbid, you go work for Sage out in the Valley and you think you want to come to the Getty, you're going to have a really hard time. Even if you really do have the skills to do the job, people will see you in a certain way. So be very careful about the publishers you decide to go hang out with. Graduate students also want to hear that their education matters. And it does. I mean, the time I spent studying Greek and Latin had a real effect on who I am, how I treat other people, in part because some of the faculty were very mean, and who my friends are. For many years, I only hung out with Latinists, and now I hang out with Latinists and editors. But the skills that have mattered most in my career are not ones that I acquired from reading dead languages. I think my greatest strength is my ability to read social situations, and that comes up a lot in the workplace. And knowing how to respond and when to shut up. But it doesn't hurt that I know how to capitalize post-Renaissance titles. That is the true source of job security here today. Having worked in academia as well as publishing, I can also identify why publishing could be a great way out. It's different from being in the ivory tower. First, publishing is project-based, but in a much more limited sense. All projects, good or bad, will come to an end, usually in a predictable amount of time. Second, if you work in a large department, you have an opportunity to work with many other people. Collaborating on an exciting project, it can be fantastic, but you can also commiserate if you have a terrible project. Third, no matter how much experience you have, you're always learning about new things. And so I would encourage you, graduate interns I'm speaking to, if you're interested in publishing, please go learn more about it.